Hey guys, today we're going to be working on this VM-22 Mikuni clone carburetor. Now I ordered a new one that said Mikuni on it, or so the listing said. And when it came in, guess what? Oh, no Mikuni. So, I don't know. I'll probably end up keeping it anyway, but just be aware, when you look at these things. And the chokes on these things, the way they work, just look, some of them are backwards, some of them, up or down. Just look at that plunger up at the top, the part that the choke raises up. If the plunger is up, the choke is on. So that's one thing, just keep in mind on these things. Now this is a, what is that, Pz27 carburetor that I just ordered one of these. I paid like $15. It's got a external idle adjustment screw. I like that. And I've not used one of these, but I recognize this. I had now it's got a butterfly choke. I had one on like a ATC, a 185 Honda three-wheeler years ago. Never had any problems out of it. But this is some sort of Mikuni clone also, but it's just a little different one. It's got three screws on the bolts. Got the center air-fuel adjustment there, idle airspeed. And the Mikuni clone, it's got 4 screws, hold the bowl on, and it's still got the brass center idle air adjustment there. And I noticed, yeah, this Mikuni clone's heavy. This one here weighs probably half as much as the Mikuni. So the Pz27, now this is supposed to be a 27 millimeter inside, so it's a little bit larger carburetor, larger and lighter. It does have this butterfly choke. You can use a cable or it's got a manual lever. I did notice some grinding inside there. But I'm going to try one of these. I've not used one of these on the, but that's coming up. Not for today. Today we're just going to be dealing with this rascal right here. This is the VM-22 Mikuni clone that comes with this nifty little cheap air filter, and I think this clamp's going to fall apart before I get off here. But hey, little air filter's better than no air filter. So yeah, now these are a slide carburetor, so this one doesn't have a choke butterfly. Over here on the side, it doesn't have an external idle adjustment either. It's got you have to have a flat screwdriver or Phillips screwdriver to adjust the idle. And the way that works is you turn it in clockwise, and what it's going to do, keep an eye on that slide. It's starting to raise the slide. You see that? And that lets more air in at idle. So you can turn it clockwise, raise the slide, and that increases the idle. Turn it counterclockwise, that lowers the slide, and of course, decreases the idle. Now I'm going to show you underneath here if I can get this situated. Just bear with me a minute. That front adjustment screw up there in the center, it's brass. Now, get over there. That's for your pilot jet adjustment. And what that is a, okay, I've got it situated here, and I started turning, I notice it's blurry. So I'm going to resituate it here. Yeah, that's your airspeed screw on your pilot jet. It's an air adjustment's what it is. And what you want, first of all, turn this thing in. I already turned it in some, so right there, we're closed now. Now I'm going to tighten it down. Just count the revolutions going out. 1/2 of a turn, 1 turn, 1.5. Now ideally, in the perfect world, that's where we want to be when we finish. We want to be at 1.5. Cranked up a little bit here. It's not wanting to run. Whoa, we got rich. Now at this point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's just, I don't have this carburetor adjusted at all, so I'm going to start leaning out. Well, let's turn us up a little bit more idle here and try this again. So when you make an adjustment, you want your engine set at idle speed, okay, as low as you can get it, and it's still running. And then you're going to adjust that brass idle air mixture screw up front. Now, if you turn it clockwise, you're going to be enriching the mixture. And if you turn it counterclockwise, you're going to be leaning the mixture. Now that adjustment has nothing to do with fuel through that screw. It's an air adjustment. So the more air you add to the fuel circuit by turning that screw counterclockwise, the leaner the fuel mixture gets in the carburetor. And there's a little delay, so you want to make sure your engine is warm, and you make an adjustment of about maybe a quarter of a turn or so at a time, and you wait a few seconds for that fuel to get through the circuit, that fuel and air. Hey, how about that? I'm lowering the idle and it started speeding up. You know what? I've seen this before. Yes, sir. I'm gonna shut it off with a choke here. My kill switch has been destroyed. Yeah, I've seen this before. Somebody's been in this carburetor ahead of me. Now, I purchased this off Amazon, so it very well could have been a return that somebody don't graciously donated, sent my way. I'm going to pull the slide out of here. I'm going to show you what I'm suspecting here already. Now, you got to compress the spring, and I know you guys seen me do this before, but when we installed it, but you just compress the spring, try to pinch that cable if you can hold on to it, and then remove the cable from the slide, then gently let that thing out of there. Now those springs will shoot across the room, so yeah. Now inside this slide, I'm gonna try to get up here where you guys can see. There's a spring clip, and that clip is sitting down on top of the needle valve. Now usually that needle valve is only meant to adjust from like a quarter throttle, or half a throttle up. But you know what? Yeah, I found out that's not true. It can affect idle the way this one is affecting it by adding a rich condition. I'm going to show you why. Oh yeah, you see this little plastic washer? Yeah, make sure you don't lose that. That's real important. That just goes down on the needle, between the needle and the slide, as a little gasket or a washer. Yeah, I put all my stuff into a plastic bag because if that stuff gets away from you, it's hard to locate. Now this is your needle that's in the slide, and this should start out, if you can see it, there's 5 notches in this needle, and those are fuel adjustments. Starting at the top of the needle and count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 would be the leanest setting, and 5 down there at the bottom would, of course, be the richest setting. And what that does, that needle actually physically sits inside of the main jet. Now, where it should be starting out here is in the middle slot. 1, 2, 3. No, it's in slot 4. Now, Everyone I've ever seen from the factory came out in the third slot. Somebody's adjusted this. Somebody has set this down. And I'm beginning to suspect here that my carburetor is a return that somebody had some issues with. Now this little clip, you know, I just pull mine off with needle nose pliers. And I've seen guys do it different ways, you know, but I have a bad luck with these clips. I really do. I've tried doing the deal. Who was it? Bonsai Karts. He did a video and he showed how he does it on a hard tabletop, and he just puts the clip down and removes it and installs it on a hard tabletop. But you know, and I would try that if I had one. But this little old temporary work table here is plastic, so it won't serve my need. So I'm going to use what I normally always do, is just use a pair of needle nose, or in this case a pair of bent needle nose, and try to hold that thing and push it back into the third slot. And usually I have pretty good luck this way. Now I'm noticing something here. I've got it on there, but you know what I did? I kind of bent the clip a little bit, and I'm not satisfied with that. You know, that clip should be straight, so that thing sits straight in the air slide. See, I kind of bent the corner down a little bit. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm fixing to make a mistake here real quick. I should have just said, well, okay, it's close enough, but no. I said, I'm going to bend this corner down a little bit. I think it'll stay on there, you know, and you know what? It didn't. So here I cut out a section of about 10 minutes of me crawling around on my hands and knees. Okay, plastic washer back on the needle slide in. And yeah, about 10 minutes of me crawling around on my hands and knees looking for that itty bitty E-clip. And man, you know, especially if you got a concrete floor, it's almost impossible to find. And heaven forbid you were working on this in your house on carpet. You can buy those, you know, you just have to look. You can buy those E-clips, and if you're going to be like working on Mikuni and Mikuni clones every day, you know, it'd be a good idea to get you a box of them and keep, because man, I'll tell you, it's really aggravating when one flies across the room, because you know 99% of the time it's gone. You'll never see it again. Now I'm installing this little springy clip back in there, goes on top of the needle and just kind of holds it in place. And it's got a notch. What you want to do is line that open section of that clip, the notch, with the long cutout in the slide. See? That's that cutout where your cable slides in. So you don't want that the cable to interfere with your little springy clip. And you guys know the drill. You put your spring over the cable, slide it back and compress it. Put the cable down through the hole in the slot, and then let the spring go down inside the slide. Easy as can be, right? Oh yeah. See that big notch goes down at the bottom over towards your idle screw. But you know, these slides, you can't get it wrong. You can't, it'll only go one way, so you can't get it wrong. But I just, you know, I see the big slot at the bottom, I automatically know that goes towards the idle screw. Alrighty. Let's try some adjusting again. I'm sorry guys, I'm going to have to hold this by the carburetor and you're not going to be able to see. Now what I'm going to do, I'm trying to lean this thing out. I'm turning that mixture screw out. And what that's doing is allowing the fuel circuit more air and less fuel. So I'm turning that adjustment counterclockwise. And now I'm going to lower it down a little bit. Lower my idle down. Now the idle is not an adjustment other than just set your idle speed. When you're setting your low speed adjustment, you want your engine idling as low as possible. Now I'm just trying to run some fuel through the circuit here because I'm smelling really strong unburnt hydrocarbons, and it's really it's a stink. Now this, oh yeah, it's still rich. And you can tell if you let it idle at a low idle and then give it a little fuel, if it puffs a little black smoke, there you go. You see that black smoke come out of the exhaust pipe? That means the carburetor is loaded up. It's running really rich. And I don't have to see it. And you can hold your hand like I'm doing. I held my hand to the tailpipe there, but I can smell it. I'm going to show you guys. You can see it puff black smoke. So I already know this pilot jet has got to be replaced. There's just no way around it. There's no adjusting around this one. Now, when I get this off here, I'm going to show you guys what I already know. Okay. I started on the idle air adjustment underneath. Remember the brass screw? You know, that's an air adjustment. And I started at 1.5 turns, and I haven't been having to turn it out consistently. And I know I've had it way further out than it should be. So I've actually tried to run it in, and I've run it in probably about 1/2 or 3/4 of a turn in further than it really needed to be, trying to get by, but you know, it's just not going to happen. That there's no way that jet's not coming out of there, the pilot jet. Now that's what we're doing. We're working on one circuit at a time. First thing we're going to do, we're going to set this pilot jet. Can't do anything else until we get that straightened up. Now here, I'm going to remove the spring from my slide and look at that needle again because, you know, I'm paranoid. That clip bent and I had to bend it back, and I installed it on there, and I know it was good. Okay, throttle cable's trying to attack the tripod. I know it was good, but, you know, I just double check your work. I always do. I can't help it. I'm paranoid that way. Yeah, if you'll notice, I've got the side cover off there, the blower housing, pull start. I had to replace the fuel line and fuel filter. Now, you guys know, remember the little spring sits right down inside. Just reach in there. Needle nose pliers, or in this case, I've got some forcep things here for mechanic work. And the needle just slides right up out of there. Up underneath. Little white plastic gasket. Yeah, don't let that get away. And it looks like it's okay. Actually, I knew there was nothing wrong with its clip. It's fine. But, yeah, again, you know, on this needle, there's 5 adjustments. Start at the top, count from the bottom. 1, that would be your leanest adjustment. 2, that's a little richer. 3 is the middle of the ground. 4 would be rich. 5 would be really rich. Because what that does, that changes the physical height this needle sits inside the jet. So if it raises up, that allows more fuel. If it goes down, that cuts off the flow of fuel physically through the jet. So, it can affect your idle speed. Your idle mixture. If that is raised up too high, like this one was, it can allow fuel to flow through the main jet at just above idle. I mean, right at idle. Yeah, there we go. Got my paranoia bag here to keep all the small parts in. But, at this point, I've already been crawling around on my hands and knees earlier, so I don't want to do that again. Now, I'm going to have to pull these bowl screws off of here to get into this bowl, but I'm going to show you what I already know. Now, I'm going to count these in. I got this adjusted best I could. Now, I'm going to count how many turns in. 1/2, 1, 1/2, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4. A good 2 3/4. And actually, it would have been about 3.5 really, because I turned this in about 3/4 of a turn trying to get by. But there's just no way. If that adjustment is over 2 turns out, that means your pilot jet is too rich. You're going to have to go with a leaner jet. If it's below 1 turn in, then that means your pilot jet is too lean. So it's kind of a pretty good, I like to set mine between 1 and 1.5. And your float level, both of these carbs that I've got, the float level was off. It was set wrong. And you got to watch this pin. This thing will fall right out without the bowl on there to retain it. But the float level, this has got a spring-loaded float. And when mine came in, both of them were level set across. Now, if you notice, this one's not level because I've got it set up on the spring. When you push it down on the spring part of the float, where the needle actually closes, then mine's level. If it started out level at the top of the spring, by the time it shuts off, your carburetor's overflowing. Now, this is your main jet, and this is your pilot jet. Now, the main jet, of course, covers high-speed fuel. The pilot jet covers low speed and idle. And we've already determined this thing was way over 2 turns out, so it's way too rich. The carburetor could not physically lean it enough to where it'll run in the circuit. So this one's got to come out. Now I'm going to look at size here. This one says X38 on there. And actually, that's a little big for this engine, but something's not right because it's running richer than what a 38 would run in this. And I think there's my answer. It's got a big hole in it. Somebody's opened this up. I'm sure they have. Now I've got a little Arco torch tip cleaner thing here. Now the biggest one I got, 60 some thousandths, I think it is. It just swallows it. I mean, it's just, it eats it up. So, and that is, 60, a little over 62 thousandths on that tip. So, I'm fairly confident this thing would have idled on methanol, and that was probably the goal. Somebody was trying to set this up for methanol carb, but that's okay. I'm going to check, see if I can rob the pilot jet out of the other Mikuni clone. And as it turned out, no, they're different. When you order the pilot jets, you have to look at the picture. Now, I had already ordered some pilot jets for this other one. I ordered a couple of sizes. I ordered a 20 and a 18, I think it was. And lo and behold, just when I needed the most, the mailman came through for me. So I'm going to install the 20. And for some reason, I did not get that. And I think I turned the camera off when I wanted to turn it on. But anyway, the pilot jet's in there. And I'm going to put the carburetor back on. And when you put your carburetor on, guys, just, leave the slide out, line it up. It's just common sense. You've got a lot of stuff to line up with line the carb with the intake. There's a spacer in there you line up. Just make sure everything's running lined up. Then bolt her down. Now these fuel filters, some of these carburetors come with this orange filter, and some of them come with this like tan colored. The orange one's no good. It's really thin. The tan colored one is better. It's thicker. The orange one is too thin. That's what broke on, I had one up there next to the engine. And, maybe heat did it. I had it idling quite a bit too. But for this one, I'm going to use I'm replacing it with this tan colored filter. They're a little better, a little thicker plastic. And I'm going to move the filter out here closer to the carb. Just using a little piece of vinyl tubing here. And this tubing is pretty good stuff. I mean, you can run gasoline through it. You can run, I used to use it on my methanol engines. That's about the only thing that would hold up. And it'll take the fuel. I mean, you can run nitro through it. The only thing that I've seen that it won't hold up to is sunlight. If you leave your engine somewhere where the sun can shine on it, it'll start to yellow and haze up that line, and that line will get hard and eventually crack. But keep it out of the sun and you'll get years of use out of this little plastic or vinyl fuel line. Put the slide back in. The big notch goes towards my idle screw on the side. Get in there. Wanting to twist on me with that spring. And we should be ready to try it out again. Now I've already set my adjustment at 1.5 turns on the bottom. Oh, it smells much better. Move you guys back a little bit. Yeah, I can tell it smells much better. Now the fuel I'm running here, it's gasoline, and I've got a few additives mixed in to help it out, because I've got some pretty good, decent compression on this engine. But when you get a rich mixture at idle, you can really smell it with this mix I've got. It's really stinky. And with this one now, it's smelling very much better. I'm not getting that strong unburnt fuel smell with this and additives. Yeah, okay. Speed it up a little bit. We wait a few seconds. Set the idle back down. Try to keep it idling as low as possible while you're adjusting the idle air bleed. Oh yeah, I'm happy now. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this thing out the extra amount. I'm going to turn this out to about where it was, about 2.5, 2 3/4. If it'll still stay running. And I'm going to double check that I have improved the circuit. And the engine's moving further away from me and I can't hardly see now. I'll eventually move it over here closer where I can see again. Yeah, that's been one of the challenges, trying to get it to where you guys can see and my head's not blocking the way. Okay, yeah. I'll get it up in there. The best way I've found is just to kind of hold on to the bottom of the carburetor here. Well, I flipped the choke lever cover off there. That's okay. We'll put a little silicone gasket sealer or something on the inside of that and stick him back on, glue him down. Now the camera's not far enough back to show you, but what I was wanting to show you guys is how I'm going to lean this out. And I'm going to check it. I'm purposely trying to create a lean condition on the carburetor around by turning this idle air mixture, this brass adjusting screw on the bottom, counterclockwise, turning it out, giving the engine less fuel and more air in the circuit. I'm going to set my idle down a little bit. And I'm going to keep on going because I want to try to exaggerate this. And I've got to watch, remember not to cover that bottom one with my thumb on the outside of the carburetor. Don't do that. If you cover that up, you won't be able to adjust your air mix on the idle. Okay, I think I've got it out there. Should make the point here. Should be lean. Where you at here? There it is. There it is. You hear that air? I hit the throttle, nothing but air. Hear it? Okay. Now I'm going to correct that. You know, a lot of people would start jumping straight to their needle and adjusting that. No. We're not going to do that. Because this is a low speed, just above idle issue. Now the pilot jet controls that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn this air adjustment clockwise. I'm going to run that screw in back to around about 1.5. And I've actually counted these when I was turning this out, so I know how much I need to go. I just have to go in just a little at a time. If you make a big adjustment, the engine won't be able to compensate, and you'll probably just kill the engine while you're trying to. You'll have to restart it and everything. So you make a quarter of a turn adjustment, wait a few seconds, 5 seconds, something like that, 10 seconds. Don't take long, and then you make another quarter of a turn, and you just go slowly until you get where you want to be. Put that back on. And we'll glue her down later. So, no black smoke. Smelling good. Oh yeah. No air pocket now. So I think I'm just going to lean it out just a tad. I know where I'm at. I'm at 1.25 turns. So I'm going to put her back at 1.5. That's where I want it to be. Now, look at the carb. See, when I revved it up, it blew out, it looked like a mist. Yeah, we're set. That's it. I got it where it needs to be. Now I'm going to leave a link to a PDF file about how to tune your Mikuni down in the description. Remember, if you get one of these carburetors, it might say Mikuni, it might not. They're all going to look the same. The ones that with the Mikuni writing is the same thing as this. If it's the Chinese Mikuni, that is. It's a VM-22. And remember, on this choke, don't pay any attention to how the lever works. Watch that plunger up top. When the plunger is up, the choke is on. That's all you got to remember. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time.